Steelers Nation, take a deep breath because what's happening in the AFC North could completely change the course of this season. And this time, the road is wide open in black and gold. While the Ravens crumble without their quarterback, while the Bengals and Browns fight just to stay afloat, the Pittsburgh Steelers are steady at 3-1 with a very real chance to dominate this division. And here's my question for you. Is this the moment when Pittsburgh finally takes full control of the AFC North? But before we dive into all the details, make sure you smash that like button because it really helps the channel. And drop a comment below. Do you believe the Steelers have everything they need to pull away while the rivals sink? I want to hear from the entire Steelers Nation in the comments. Go Steelers! The Baltimore Ravens season just took a turn that could reshape the entire AFC North race. And for the Pittsburgh Steelers, this news feels like an opening too good to ignore. Lamar Jackson, the heart and soul of Baltimore's offense and a two-time NFL MVP, is expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks with a hamstring injury. That means he's already ruled out against the Houston Texans this week, almost certainly out for the Week 6 matchup with the Los Angeles Rams, and then the Ravens head straight into their bye week in Week 7. Best case scenario, Jackson returns after the bye, but by then, the damage could be irreversible. Baltimore is sitting at 1-3, tied for last in the AFC North alongside the Cleveland Browns. Their defense, dead last in scoring across the entire NFL. Their backup quarterback, Cooper Rush, who now has to step in and somehow keep the Ravens afloat in must-win games. On paper, Week 5 against a struggling Texans offense looks manageable, but if Houston shows any pulse, Baltimore could realistically find themselves at 1-5 heading into that bye. And if that happens, their season is effectively over. To climb back from that kind of start, they'd need to win nearly every game down the stretch. And that would include sweeping the Steelers, a task that feels like fantasy given the current state of their roster. And it's not just Lamar's absence that's haunting them. Roquan Smith is banged up, Marlon Humphrey isn't healthy, and Justin Madubuike is gone for the season. That once vaunted Ravens defense has turned into a liability, and without their franchise quarterback to mask those weaknesses, Baltimore is on the brink of collapse. Steelers Nation, let's be real. The path in front of Pittsburgh suddenly looks wide open. While the Ravens are spiraling, the Steelers are sitting pretty at 3-1, staring at matchups against the Browns and Bengals in back-to-back weeks.
With Joe Burrow sidelined in Cincinnati and Cleveland preparing to start a rookie quarterback, Pittsburgh isn't just favored. They have a golden opportunity to push their record to 5-1 while their division rivals sink deeper into chaos. That's the kind of separation that can define an entire season. Think about it. Steelers at 5-1, Ravens at 1-5. That's a 4-game swing before midseason, and in this division, that's the kind of advantage that doesn't evaporate easily. Now, while Ravens fans are drowning in bad news, Steelers fans actually got a dose of positivity. Wide receiver Calvin Austin III, who left with a shoulder injury, is reportedly not expected to miss significant time. Ben Skowronek mentioned that Austin won't be out too long, which is a much more optimistic update than the doom and gloom tone that first surrounded the injury. Early speculation had him sidelined for a month, maybe headed to injured reserve. But now, the expectation is he could miss just 1 or 2 games, both of which are against Cleveland and Cincinnati, games Pittsburgh should be able to win even without him. And that small window of absence opens the door for second-year wideout Roman Wilson. For weeks, Wilson's role has been limited, running deeper routes in an offense that has prioritized quick throws. But now, with Austin out, Wilson has the chance to step in as the Steelers' number 2 receiver. This isn't just about filling a spot. This is about seeing whether Wilson can handle being a real contributor, someone who earns Aaron Rodgers' trust in critical moments. He's got the speed, the hands, and the toughness to be more than just a rotational piece. What he does over the next 2 weeks could very well determine whether the Steelers look for outside help at the trade deadline, or whether they roll forward with what they have. So here's where the curiosity builds. Steelers fans, I'm throwing this one to you. With Lamar Jackson sidelined, the Bengals down Joe Burrow, and the Browns scrambling at quarterback, is this finally Pittsburgh's division to dominate? What's the percentage chance, right now, that the Steelers take home the AFC North crown? Is it 50, 75, maybe even 100? Drop your number in the comments because this is where the conversation gets real. And beyond that, what's your confidence level in Roman Wilson stepping up? Can he be the guy who turns a temporary absence for Calvin Austin into a blessing in disguise for Pittsburgh's offense? Or do you think Omar Khan needs to be scanning the trade market just in case? And while the injury news and standings drama have stolen most of the headlines, there's another conversation that's starting to bubble up among Steelers fans and analysts, and it's all about the backfield. Kenneth Gainwell had the best rushing performance of the year for Pittsburgh in the win over the Minnesota Vikings, and suddenly some voices are asking the question, should Gainwell, Kenny G, be RB1 over Jaylen Warren? At first glance, it might sound like a hot take worth entertaining. Gainwell ran hard, hit the lanes, and gave the offense a real boost. But when you dig deeper, the reality becomes clear. This wasn't about a change at running back. This was about Pittsburgh finally figuring out how to block in the run game. For 3 straight weeks, the Steelers' offensive line looked overmatched in run blocking. Then against the Vikings, they made adjustments, putting Spencer Anderson in as a jumbo tight end, essentially acting as a 6th lineman, and pairing him with Darnell Washington to create an almost unmovable front. The results were obvious. Holes opened, lanes developed, and the run game came alive. Gainwell benefited from those holes, and credit where it's due, he took advantage of the opportunity. But let's not rewrite the story here. Jaylen Warren has been the offensive engine for this team through the first month of the season. His ability to make defenders miss, his contact balance, his explosiveness, and his versatility as both a runner and a pass catcher have been unmatched. Without Warren, the Steelers don't win some of those tight early games. And here's the kicker. If Warren had been the one getting those massive running lanes against Minnesota, we might have been talking about a 150-yard performance instead of a nice day for Gainwell. That's why this isn't really a debate inside the Steelers building. Warren is RB1, plain and simple. Gainwell is a strong and reliable RB2, the kind of player you love having in your rotation, especially if injuries pop up or if you want to ride the hot hand for a drive or two. But make no mistake, Warren is the heartbeat of this backfield, maybe even the most impactful offensive player on the roster right now. Still, it's worth asking Steelers Nation, because you know this debate won't die down on its own. Who do you believe should get the lion's share of carries moving forward? Are you sticking with Jaylen Warren as the unquestioned RB1, or are you tempted to ride with Gainwell after his breakout performance? Type JW if you're rolling with Warren, or KG if you think Gainwell deserves his shot. Let's settle this debate right here. Now, shifting gears to another piece of the offense that's drawn criticism, why aren't the Steelers pushing the ball down the field more with Aaron Rodgers? It's a question that's been tossed around on talk radio, on Twitter, and even in national coverage. Some fans are nervous, thinking Rodgers is just checking down, playing it too safe, and not attacking defenses vertically. But offensive coordinator Arthur Smith addressed this directly, and his explanation was eye-opening. Smith basically said, there's more than one way to generate explosive plays. Sure, you can air it out, launch deep shots, and hope your receivers win contested balls. But the smarter, more sustainable way is to get the ball into your playmakers' hands quickly, in space, and let them do the damage. In today's NFL, with so many defenses playing too high safety looks, it's not always wise to force the ball deep. Instead, you beat those coverages with quick throws, creating room underneath, and then attack deep when defenses are forced to adjust. And the numbers back it up. The Steelers are currently number 1 in the NFL in yards after the catch. That's not an accident, it's by design. Rodgers has been delivering precise, quick throws, and guys like DK Metcalf, Jaylen Warren, Calvin Austin, and even tight end Jonnu Smith have been turning those short passes into big plays. It's a modern approach, one that minimizes Rodgers' exposure behind a shaky offensive line while still producing chunk yardage. Think about it this way, Rodgers isn't being neutered, he's being maximized. He's playing smart football, much like late career Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, or Tom Brady, guys who didn't rely on mobility or holding the ball forever but dissected defenses with quick reads and accurate passes. And when the deep shots are there, Rodgers has shown he can still hit them. We've already seen it with that touchdown strike to DK Metcalf against New England. So, Steelers Nation, here's the next big question for you. Do you buy into Arthur Smith's philosophy? Do you believe this version of the Steelers offense, built on efficiency, quick hitters, and yards after catch, can actually develop into a top 10 unit in the NFL? Type T if you think it's true, or F if you think that's just too optimistic. Because here's the reality, Pittsburgh is sitting in an enviable position right now. The rest of the division is unraveling, injuries are mounting for rivals, and the Steelers have a clear identity forming on both sides of the ball. But whether this team can elevate from good to great may come down to how this offense evolves over the next several weeks. And that's the real tension hanging over this season. The Steelers have the record, they have the division momentum, and they've been resilient through the first month. But to turn this from a promising start into a true championship run, the offense has to answer the lingering questions. Can Jaylen Warren continue to shoulder the load as the engine of the attack? Can Kenneth Gainwell be the reliable support piece without creating a running back controversy that derails chemistry? Can Roman Wilson seize his chance while Calvin Austin heals and prove he belongs in the core rotation? The good news is that Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers seem to be on the same page about the vision for this offense. It's about efficiency, ball security, and letting playmakers shine after the catch. That doesn't mean Pittsburgh will never air it out. It means they're going to pick their moments, catch defenses off guard, and maximize the matchups. That's exactly how Rodgers thrived at his peak in Green Bay. And now in black and gold, it's being tailored to fit his current stage of play. And honestly, isn't that what Steelers football has always been about? Adaptation. Finding different ways to win depending on what the situation demands. When the defense is dominant, you grind. When the run game clicks, you pound. When you have elite receivers, you let them eat. What we're seeing now is a modern version of that same philosophy, and the early results are promising. Meanwhile, the external landscape couldn't be breaking better for Pittsburgh. The Ravens are staring down a lost season without Lamar Jackson. The Bengals are limping without Joe Burrow, and even when he returns, their defense looks too porous to compete at the highest level. The Browns, as tough as their defense might be, are entering survival mode with a rookie quarterback and an offense that simply doesn't scare anyone. All roads point to the Steelers having the clearest path to seizing control of the AFC North. But here's the reality check, and it's a big one. Nothing is handed out in October. Momentum is fragile. One slip, one injury, one overlooked opponent, and the entire narrative can shift. The Steelers have been in this position before, sitting atop the division early, only to stumble when the grind of the season sets in. That's why these next two games against Cleveland and Cincinnati are massive.